Hello everyone. So we're going to talk about angles today. There's a lot of vocabulary in this section, so please pay attention. Make sure you get some good notes. So first we're going to talk about a ray. A ray is a part of a line that has an endpoint and an arrow. There's an endpoint on one side and an arrow on the other. So it starts at A in this example and it goes through B. This would have the name of ray AB. Now, the order of the letters does matter. If you switch this and call it ray BA, that's a different ray. Okay, I would start at B and go through A. Okay, so lines and segments, they don't matter which order you put the letters in when you name it, but array, it does. Okay, so there's an example of rays. And what are opposite rays? Well, if you have something that has the same endpoint but goes in opposite directions. So maybe this is like J and it goes through H, but this is J and it goes through I. So you've got two rays here, JH and ray JI. But they go in opposite directions. Those are called opposite rays. And a fact about opposite rays, if you might notice, is opposite rays make a line. Maybe you should use a different color on that one. Opposite rays make a line. Okay, so I changed the color on that thing. Having little problems there. Anyway, next we're going to talk about angles. So angles are formed when you have two rays that share the same vertex. So a ray like this, maybe this is ray PQ, and the same point, the same endpoint like this, but they're not going in opposite directions this time. So ray P, I don't know, H, okay? So the angle is a space in between here. And sometimes that angle is like really big, sometimes it's really small. So I could draw this side like over here, and maybe this is PQ now, and now the angle is really big. Okay, so that angle is a space inside here, all of this stuff. How wide open it is, imagine like a door opening. Okay, if it's not open very much, it's a small angle. If it's open a lot, it's a big angle. Okay, so there's a couple other parts of this thing you should be aware of, parts of the angle. So you got this side that is over here. Move that. Oops. So a side of the angle, I'm going to put that over here. In this case would be ray PH. Okay, there's two sides, ray PH and ray PQ. And then there's also the vertex. So the vertex is the shared endpoint. Actually, I'm going to put this over here. Okay, so the vertex is that shared endpoint. In this particular example, it is point P. The sides are what make up the angle, or the two rays there. So rays that make I was going to say help make sides, but I can't put sides in there, so help make angle. Okay, there's not a real great definition for that. It's pretty obvious what the sides are. In this case, it would be ray PH and ray PQ. Okay, and it's possible that it's not just rays. It could be segments that make up angles, and actually it could be angles too. I'm sorry, lines that help make the angles. Anyway, and then there's the interior. The interior is all the space in between the two rays. So all of this space here is called the interior. Okay, so that's between sides. And then you also got the exterior, which is obviously going to be outside sides. So all it is out here would be considered the exterior. Okay. Now how do you name angles? Well, this is the part that seems to get a lot of people. There's multiple ways to name an angle. Okay. So I'm gonna do a different angle. So because I got a lot of stuff drawn on that picture, so I'm gonna draw another one. Let's draw a different angle. We're gonna draw this angle here. Put some rays. Okay. This angle here, this space in between here. Let's put some letters on it. Let's call this A right here. Let's call the vertex B, and this is C. All right. Now you can name an angle by using 3 letters. And you gotta put this angle symbol. Angle symbol looks like this. It's kind of like an L, but it's slanted. Okay, so some people put a little curve on it, some people don't. But this is angle A, B, C. The most important of these is the middle letter must be the vertex. Okay, so you can call it angle ABC, we can call it angle CBA. In both these situations, the middle letter is the vertex. And if there's no other confusion about what angle we're talking about, we could just go with the middle letter itself, angle B. Okay. Also, sometimes they'll write numbers in the angles, so you can call it like maybe this is angle 2. Now this gets confusing because we also might write the degree or the size of the angle, how wide open it is, but that will have a degree symbol next to it, so you know you're not talking about the number for the angle. So for example, let me draw some more angles on here. If I was to extend this and call this angle D, or point D right there, I can now not use this as an example because I don't know which angle B you're talking about. Are you talking about this one here? Are you talking about this one there? It's kind of confusing. So we can now no longer use just angle B if we were referring to this angle right there. Okay, so that's when I say if there's no room for confusion. In this case, there is room for confusion. I don't know which angle B you're talking about. And technically, there's 3 angle Bs. There's this angle B, there's this angle B, and there's a big one that includes all of them, that angle B. Okay, so I wouldn't know which one you're talking about. In cases like this, sometimes they'll have numbers. So maybe we call this angle 2, maybe this one's angle 3. You could call it angle 2, and that way we know that you're talking about the same thing that's angle A, B, C, this one. Okay. If we were talking about angle 3 in this picture, then that would be this angle right here, angle D, B, C, or angle C, B, D. Those are all the same. Okay, use the same color. And those would be the same thing as those. Actually, we call this congruent, which I'll talk about a little bit later. Okay, these are all the same angle. And then these up here are all the same angle. Okay, angle B is confusing, not sure. Now, we're not sure in this picture. So we're not going to use just one letter. Sometimes you get away with the one letter, sometimes you don't. If you want to be sure, you can always use 3 letters and don't use the one letter. All right, so that's how you name angles, and we'll be practicing that some more. Okay, the next point, the next thing we need to talk about is what's an angle bisector. Well, in this word is bi, like bicycle, has 2 wheels. Okay, so that word bi means 2, and sector means like sections or parts. So what we're going to do is break this angle up in 2 parts, except for there's one particular thing that's kind of important, is if you break an angle up into 2 parts, the bisector breaks it into exactly 2 parts, right down the middle. Okay, so if I had angle PQR, and I call this S right here, then we could say ray QS, it starts at Q and goes to S, which that's an R. QS is an angle bisector. Well, how do we know it's an angle bisector just by looking at the picture? Well, a lot of times it'll have markings on here. These little curves, if you see a curve like that and a curve like that, each curve means that they're equal to each other. Sometimes you'll see two curves and a single curve. That would mean that they're different. Okay, a single curve and another single curve are different. I'm sorry, a double curve is different than a single curve. Or if you see two double curves, that means those two are the same. So when you have multiple angles drawn, so maybe you got something like this, you got something like that, anything that has double curves is the same. Anything that has single curves is the same. Okay, so the curves kind of tell you if they're the same thing. Let me go ahead and take this stuff off. So if I have a picture like this and you see double arcs under the double curves, then that's how you know that this angle is the same as this angle. Therefore, QS must be right down the middle of the angle PQR. So we say QS is an angle bisector of angle PQR. All right, hopefully I'm not making this too confusing. So something is angle bisector creates two congruent angles. So for example, if this is 30 degrees, then that means this one is also 30 degrees. Put a little degree symbol there. Okay, and degrees is the way we measure how far open the angle is. Okay, and that would mean the entire angle PQR is worth 60 degrees. Okay, and we'll talk about angle addition in the next lesson. But that's basically it right there. All right, so I think I covered everything. So just a quick review. A ray has an endpoint and it goes through another point and keeps going. Opposite rays make a line, they go in opposite direction. Angles have two rays that share an endpoint. That endpoint is called the vertex. Two sides that help make up the angle are called sides, I guess. You name an angle by using 3 letters. The middle letter must be the vertex, the shared endpoint rather. And then the angle bisector is the segment or line or ray that splits an angle right down the middle. Okay, and I didn't write the definition there, but splits angle in half or down the middle. That thing is called a segment or an angle I'm sorry, not a segment, an angle bisector. Okay, that's all I have for you. Thanks.